Hello and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is part 5 in my Chiaroscuro series, and we're going to go ahead and finish this painting up and add all the fine details and get the final highlights and the final dark and light contrast. So the app that we're using is Infinite Painter for Android. And if you want to follow along with traditional materials, check out part 1 in this series where I have a list of the brushes, paint, and the canvas that I use. So here we are, we're trying to get the final details, the final highlights, the final things that make it pop as a chiaroscuro painting. We want the big contrast between the dark and the light. And so here I'm just working on the highlights on the bridge of the nose, highlights on the cheekbones, and kind of on the tip of the nose, under the nose, and trying to get the final shape of the eyes and also the shadow that's on the left side, and darken down the eye just a little bit on the left side. We need it to be darkened down a little bit. And then I just wanted to add a little bit of a darker look on the cheeks and kind of fade the edge into the background. Once you finally get the features correct in the right position and things like that, then you can fade the edges into the background because you've got the correct proportions. So here that's what I'm doing, and I'm using one of the probably the cloud brush for the spray brushes in Infinite Painter. If you're following along traditionally, take your flat brush or your bristle brush and just do a light glaze of a very dark color, say ultramarine blue and dioxazine purple and burnt sienna, and just do a slight glaze on the edge of the hat, the edge of his face, and his neck, and some of the hair that's on that side, and just kind of softly fade it into the background. And make sure that you leave a little bit of some highlights on his cheek and his nose and on his chin, a little bit maybe on the hair of the neck, some indications of the hat, but you want to fade it into the background at this time because this is what makes it look like a chiaroscuro painting. This is what Caravaggio did, and some of the other painters that did this style. And so it's looking pretty good. It's starting to look pretty close to the photograph that I have there, the photograph I got from Pixabay. They have royalty-free photographs that you can use for photo references and things like that. And then here I'm working on the feather of the hat. We want it to be fairly bright. So we need kind of a light blue color. And you can use ultramarine blue with white acrylic gesso if you want to do that traditionally. And you can use your script brush or your number 3 round. You just want to draw little light feathery lines there to show the texture of the feather and to show that it's being hit with the light there on that side. So I'm just kind of working on the shape of it and the edges of it, and just trying to get the look of a feather there. And then here I'm working a little bit more on the hair there, and the hat, the edge of the hat, the hair, And you can use a light blue color also for the hair, or a light brown color, just so that you get a little bit of some indications of strands of hair. And that's what I'm trying to do there. And if you're following along traditionally, you can use your script brush or your number 3 round as well. Just you want thin lines, little thin lines there. And so I'm just trying to kind of get that indication of the stuff hitting the hair. And also, if you zoom in, I don't know if it's makeup or tattoo or if he actually has a scar, but there seems like there's a little bit of a scar underneath his eye, his right eye. So I tried to put a little indication of that on the cheekbones there with some brown, some light brown color, but try not to make it that noticeable. You want it to just be kind of subtle, like he's a pirate, he's been through some stuff, but where this pirate is not got a big jagged scar on his face to show that. Some do. If you want to make your pirate look all scarred up, you can do that too, but here we're trying to make him look more of a handsome fellow, like Captain Jack Sparrow and those kind of pirates. So here I'm just kind of working on adding that little detail in, and some little highlights right there above his eyebrow, trying to get the right shape to his eyebrow there. It's kind of flattened off at the top, so we want that look there. And I'm adding a little bit of some flesh color, the final highlight color there. And for your final highlight color of flesh, you will have a light peach color, but you don't want total white, because that will make it look too chalky. But you want a really light off-white peach color there. And then here I'm just kind of working on the hair. If you make the hair too big, you can always come back with some of the background color and cut it down a little bit. And then here I'm comparing it just to see what I need to add next. Don't forget to add a little bit of highlight to the lips. We need to add a little bit of highlight right on the edge of the lips, and you would use kind of flesh color. Don't use a real bright white, or you could use a light pink or something like that, but you don't want a real bright white. So I'm just trying to add a little bit of some light color and work on the shape of the lips a little bit. And usually the top lip is maybe a little bit lighter, and you also need to add a little bit of highlight on the right side of the lip as well to try to get the light shining. The left side is going to be more in shadow, so you can glaze a little bit darker over the top of it if you want to, and try to add that a little bit more into the shadows. And you just go ahead and look at it, step back from your easel, and see what you need to add there. I'm adding a little bit more highlights to the nose, the final highlights to the nose, the cheekbones, and the bridge of the nose, between the eyes. Just all the final little details. Here I've added a little bit more bluish highlight to the brim of his hat, trying to get that to come out of the darkness a little bit. You just want an indication there, but you still want it to fade into the dark there. So just working on things like that. Just trying to add little final touches there. And you can also add a little bit of bluish light to the edge of the hat, the brim of the hat, to curve it make sure that you curve the lines to follow the curve of the hat so that it also looks three-dimensional, and just kind of smudge that in. You don't want a lot of the highlight on the hat because it's dark, but you want a little bit of definition from it in the background. You want to bring it forward a little bit by adding a little bit of the highlight there. And then here again, I'm just kind of working on the cheekbones, adding a little bit of some highlight there, the ears, trying to get the ear a little bit straightened out, and just looking and comparing it to the original photographs, just seeing what I need to add there. And we've gotten pretty close. It's not perfect by any means, but I've gotten pretty close. You can tell what I've done. Here I'm adding a little bit of some shadow to the neck to give it some definition on the neck there a little bit, and try to give it some shadow also on that side, the left side. And so here I'm going to go ahead and sign it, and maybe stop fooling with it, because if I do anymore I might mess it up. You just kind of have to decide, well, it's finished and it's close. It's pretty close to what it is, and go ahead and save it. Make sure that you save it, and also save different levels of it as you go along. Export out different levels of it. I don't often show that. I just cut it out, but I do that all the time. So that way, if the program collapses and you lose all your info, you will have a version of that painting stored away, and you can start from there. So this is the end of the Chiaroscuro study, and I hope that I gave you a little bit of something that you didn't know, maybe a little bit of some information, and just a little bit of how maybe the old masters painted, and just something fun to try. So if you want to see what else I'm going to do next, hit the subscribe button. And thanks for watching, and thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.